What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So I got back to Dubai finally after spending a few months in Europe, and many of you might even recognize this property as this is my third apartment that I furnished in Dubai. However, today I wanted to actually reflect on my first property that I purchased in Dubai. As many of you might not know the story, many of you might think that, I don't know, maybe I sold a business and then I was able to make millions and move to Dubai, or just many of you who are foreigners and maybe have been here just as tourists think that buying property here is very expensive. And that is actually not true. I'm just a normal human being as well. I also had loads of mortgages and credit cards, and I was going over drafts, over limits. So I thought I would have to reflect one day on my first purchase in Dubai, how it actually happened, because this story is actually pretty exciting and maybe at that time was a little bit too fast and a little bit stupid from my side, because I actually bought my first property in Dubai online and even remote. Well, if you're interested to find out more how this process worked for me, if it actually worked in the end, did I still keep the property or did I sell it? And I'll just tell you how I actually was able to pay for it just normally from my ex-jobs where I saved, and how I was able to actually make this an actual business after a few years. Then leave a thumbs up for this video so it helps my algorithm, so more people like you might find this video and hopefully it will be helpful for others. And if you're new here, please subscribe and keep watching because I'm sure you will like it. First things first, how did I actually end up buying something in Dubai, or even looking at this market and trying to see if there is something interesting for me? Well, for some of you who already know me, for the new ones here, I was always very, very passionate about property. I don't know why. For some reason, I was always into hotels, trying to see what's innovative in their new architecture design and trying to see how basically these two things are combined, how you can make money out of this. And also I'm really, really fond of passive income strategies. So somehow I ended up doing property investing, and my first country was my actual home country of Moldova, where I started buying and selling a few of the properties there with the money that I earned in my first job at Shell in London. So I worked there, by the way, for 3 years, got that money and started investing in property. And after that, I moved around the globe. I lived a bit in Bali. I actually started a business there as well, Agora Homes, which now we have 20 rooms in our guest house in Canggu, and we're hosting guests for 5 years already. That's crazy to say this because it feels like it was just yesterday. And basically afterwards, COVID hit and I got back to Europe. I had to mix up a bit my work with my actual profession in IT as a product manager. So at that time, I was thinking, since I'm staying at home, I'm saving most of the money and I had a bit of savings at the time. I wasn't sure if I want to invest in Moldova and in Europe in general because of many geopolitical things happening, our neighbors, Ukraine being hit as well with, the Russian-Ukrainian war, which was a very unfortunate event as well. And I wasn't really sure if there is any potential there, if I will if I will even take some risks for that, because it might not be worth it. And I was just starting to scroll through the internet and see which other places are more likely to present some interest for me as an investor and where I would actually be able to invest, because I only had around 50 to 60,000 euros free, just standing around after I sold a few of my other investments in Moldova. So I was thinking this money definitely needs to work for me and not just stay around. And that's how I ended up just scrolling the web, looked at a couple of options in Ukraine actually as well, just before the war started. Well, luckily I didn't go for those options. I also looked at Georgia. I looked at a couple of other countries, Azerbaijan as well. I visited after a few years these countries, and I'm actually still curious about them. But nothing really seemed to work well for me in those countries until I stumbled on a couple of developers from Dubai. And my first property was actually with Damak, which is probably one of the biggest developers here. I mean, most of the people see the Damak buildings whenever they enter Dubai. Even tourists, they know about Damak and Emaar. Emaar is the public company, which, sorry, not public, but private, owned by the government. And Damak is privately owned and doesn't have any affiliations with the government. And basically, I stumbled across their website, just staying at home during the quarantine, and I saw a couple of really interesting options because they had those payment plans, and I already had some experience with payment plans. I already got a couple of off plans in Moldova, so I knew how this works, how the payment goes, and I knew how to set up my strategies so I don't run out of cash, because if you do, you might lose your property. So I was curious. However, I still had these, assumptions that in Dubai it's going to be super expensive, so I won't be able to buy anything, or it's just gonna take out too much cash out of me. So I still wasn't really sure. However, my curiosity didn't leave me for that week. I think it was around September 2021. Yeah, I think so. Continued scrolling through different websites and realized that actually there is some potential in this market. And since I was in the quarantine and there was nothing much going around, and all the two places for me were pretty easily accessible, which was Istanbul in Turkey, and they didn't require any kind of whatever visas for me, or even the COVID testing, and Dubai as well. I think they did require at the beginning, but after it was just eased up, so you can actually go out, you can go to the malls and so on. So it was pretty accessible. I thought, why not? I should just give it a go and try to go to Dubai and experience it for a while. So I went. Actually, I went before I started thinking about the properties. I lived there for about a month and then went again, and kind of this idea stick to me that maybe this is a good stopover, at least at the beginning for me. So I think many of you might think of the same thing when you speak about Dubai. It's a good stopover, so why not have a property here, at least a one bedroom for yourself? That's why I reached out to Damak and got basically a representative call right back, like in 1 day or so. And I jumped on a call with that Damak representative, which later came up basically to be my agent who sold me the property. A really good guy who helped me with everything. Thanks a lot for that. And basically, after we spoke, he told me about a couple of options. I was initially thinking about more remote areas. I knew Dubai, but not as good as after many years now being here. And he told me that, there are a couple of projects in Business Bay, which Damak was building at the time. It was off plan, and it was, basically during COVID, even before, I think, I don't even remember. No, it was during COVID, yeah. So basically there was demand, but the prices were still pretty low. So I think at that time, one bedrooms in Business Bay were going for around 650 to 750,000 dirhams, which nowadays, if you check, that's crazy. It's an increase of at least 40-50% on that for many of those buildings. So similarly to mine, I had also a pretty good increase. I'll tell you more into details about this. Also, at that time, the Mac was offering this trip to Dubai, which will basically be fully paid by them. You get 3 to 4 nights in one of their hotels. At that time, they offered me the Paramount in downtown, which is beautiful. I took that. And they also bought my tickets to come to Dubai. So that was more of like an investor package. If you reserve your unit, you come to Dubai, you stay for free, and they pay for everything. And I even got a limousine to just drive me around and basically take me anywhere I wanted, which was pretty cool because during that time, it was winter when I actually came to Dubai after I made the decision. So I was also flying to Bali, and that was a really good stopover. So they basically covered everything. But nevertheless, let's go back to the actual story. So that was September-ish, around, I think, at the end of September 2021. And yeah, they offered me this deal. They told me if I decide in the next 7 days, they will also offer me a rebate on the DLD, which is 4% of the buying price. And at that time, that was pretty hefty sum for me. It was around $10,000, which I would have saved if I decide on the deal. And during the first, I think it was a year, I have to pay everything on time without any delays. Then I have to prove them that I've done this, and I would get the rebate on the 4% DLD at the time of the project delivery and completion. So I got this deal. The first down payment was just 15%, which was exactly enough for what I already had. And I had to pay for the DLD, for everything in advance. But then my payment plan was actually adjusted, and they took off 4% after 1 year, after I paid everything on time without any delays. So I think for me it was 15%, and then I have to pay 5% every 3 months until completion. And during those years, I think it was around 4-year payment plan, I would have also a couple of bigger sums. So instead of 5% once in 3 months, I would have once a year a bigger payment of around another 15%. So it was around basically 3.5 years payment plan for that deal, which worked pretty well with me. Although after I basically paid that first year, I ended up also investing into some other projects back home. So that was becoming a bit tough on my investments. And basically, I also at the time had the chance to move to Dubai fully. So when I moved here, I was already a resident here, and I was able to actually get that property refinanced by a bank and get a mortgage on that. So that was the full way how I purchased the property. The biggest, I guess, mistake turned into an opportunity was that they convinced me to actually pay a 5% down payment of the whole property amount. Or actually it was 10% before I come to Dubai and even see this project. So that's why this video is called How I Bought My First Property in Dubai through Zoom, because literally after that 1 week expired, I decided to accept the offer and get that benefits that come along with it. But I had to pay that 10% literally via Zoom, via a payment link that they sent to me. So I completed the payment. They sent me the documents, the sales purchase agreement, SPA. And then only after that, it took me about 2 months to organize the trips with them. They basically bought me the tickets, flew me to Dubai, hosted me in Paramount. And yeah, that was the story of how I purchased my first property through Zoom with the Damak developers. And I think this definitely turned out as a good investment, as nowadays The properties similar to mine in Business Bay are being sold at around 1.2 million dirhams, which for me is an increase of about 500 to 600,000 dirhams, which is roughly $160,000, which is obviously really, really good. By now, you probably, if you follow this channel, you know that I've added a couple of more properties. I rent them out on long term, so they're definitely working for themselves to bring out money back for that investment. Some of them, actually, including the first one, is still mortgaged, so I'm paying still the mortgage back. So basically, I'm no different to you or anyone else. I didn't come to Dubai because I got a ton of money somewhere hidden in Europe, or I sold my business and got here to hide something. I came here because I was in IT and I was also already an investor into property. So I wanted to combine these things. And I think this is quite a normal thing that you can also do if you are a working professional, if you want to get your first property, if you want to move towards, getting more passive income, generating income while you actually sleep and making it work for you, and have also some capital appreciation for those investments. So basically, all this was more for you to hopefully get some good, important information, to get maybe inspired. And if you did so, please drop the comments below. If you have any questions as well, please do reach out to me. I do make a lot of consultations, free, paid, different ones. We can customize it for you, but doesn't matter what. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about this. I'm curious to also hear your stories if you have a similar experience. And until then, see you next time.